Have you ever felt that there are hidden patterns within you, forces shaping your thoughts, emotions, and choices, yet you cannot fully explain them? What if I told you that these invisible structures of your mind were already mapped out by Carl Jung, one of the greatest thinkers of the 20th century? In this video, you will discover the secret architecture of your inner world, the archetypes of the collective unconscious. These are not abstract theories. They are living forces that influence every relationship you build, every decision you make, and even the way you dream at night. By the end of this journey, you will not only understand the 8 most powerful archetypes described by Jung, you will also see how they play out in your own life. And here's the promise: once you recognize them, you can begin to reprogram the way they operate inside you. Instead of being unconsciously driven by hidden forces, you will learn to work with them consciously, to grow, to transform, and to create a new reality for yourself. But this is not going to be a simple lecture. I will guide you step by step through Jung's ideas, showing you examples from mythology, history, and even modern culture. You will see how the hero, the shadow, the wise old man, and the anima appear not only in ancient stories, but also in today's movies, books, and even in the struggles of your everyday life. Here's why this matters. The more you ignore these archetypes, the more they control you from the shadows. But the more you bring them into your awareness, the more power you gain over your destiny. This is the art of individuation, the process Jung considered the true purpose of life. So, stay with me until the end, because we are about to uncover not just ideas, but the very blueprint of your subconscious mind. Carl Jung introduced a powerful concept that explains why we often feel like we are playing a role, rather than living authentically. He called it the persona, a social mask we create to function in the world. The persona is not something evil or wrong. In fact, it is necessary. At work, you might wear the mask of a professional, confident, competent, reliable. On social media, your persona may appear as the smiling, energetic version of yourself, carefully selecting what to show and what to hide. In the family, perhaps you act as the responsible one, the caring parent, or the obedient child. These masks are designed to protect us. They help us adapt to society, avoid conflict, and receive approval. Without them, we would be too raw, too vulnerable, too exposed. The persona is like clothing for the psyche. Without it, we would feel naked in front of others. But here lies the danger. When the mask becomes too rigid, when we forget that it is only a role, we start confusing the persona with our true self. And the more we invest in maintaining the mask, the less we listen to what our inner world is actually trying to tell us. Think about it. How often do you post pictures on social media not because you feel truly joyful, but because you want others to believe you are? How many times have you smiled politely in a meeting while feeling exhausted inside? How often do you act fine with family members while hiding pain or frustration? The more we live through the persona, the stronger the split inside becomes. Outwardly, we may appear successful, happy, or even admired. But inwardly, an emptiness grows. A voice whispers, "This is not really me." This is why Jung warned that over-identification with the persona can lead to feelings of alienation, depression, and even the sense that life has no real meaning. Because when you are always playing a role, you lose touch with the person behind the role. And here is the growing tension. Society rewards us for the mask, but our soul suffers in silence. This gap between the external image and the inner truth is where the journey of individuation must begin. Behind the mask, something darker always waits. Jung called it the shadow, the hidden, rejected, and often frightening part of our personality. While the persona is the face we show to the world, the shadow is everything we deny, suppress, or fear to admit about ourselves. Think about the traits you dislike in others: arrogance, greed, cruelty, laziness. Very often, what irritates us most in others is actually a reflection of something inside us, something we don't want to see. This is the shadow projecting itself into the outside world. Myths and stories have long understood this truth. The tale of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is perhaps the most famous symbol of the shadow. Dr. Jekyll wanted to live as a respectable gentleman, but in doing so, he split off his darker side, creating Mr. Hyde, violent, and controlled, and destructive. The more Jekyll tried to suppress Hyde, the stronger Hyde became. We see this everywhere, in literature, in films, in human history. Whenever people refuse to acknowledge their own darkness, that darkness takes control. Jung believed that denying the shadow leads to imbalance, addictions, obsessions, and even collective violence. But here lies the paradox. The shadow is not only destructive, it also contains our unrealized potential, raw energy, creativity, passion, and power. A person who never confronts their shadow remains half alive, stuck in superficial roles, but one who dares to face it may unlock their hidden strength. The tension builds here. If we avoid meeting our shadow, it will eventually meet us in the worst possible way. It shows up in nightmares, self-sabotage, broken relationships, or sudden anger we cannot control. Jung warned that what we refuse to face within, we will encounter outside, often as fate. So the question is, will we continue hiding behind the mask, letting the shadow grow in silence, or will we find the courage to look it in the eyes? Behind the personal mask and the hidden shadow lies something even larger, a shared foundation of human experience. Jung called it the collective unconscious. Unlike your personal memories, this is not about what you lived through. It is about deep, timeless patterns that repeat themselves in every culture, in every story, in every generation. Jung believed that within this collective unconscious live archetypes, universal images and roles that shape how humans experience the world. These archetypes are not inventions of the mind. They are more like ancient scripts that we all carry inside. Think about the hero. From Greek mythology's Hercules to modern-day characters like Harry Potter or Neo from The Matrix, the hero archetype is everywhere. The journey of struggle, failure, and transformation resonates with us, because we all carry this script within. Then there is the wise old man or sage, from Merlin in Arthurian legends to Yoda in Star Wars. This archetype represents inner wisdom, the guiding voice that helps the hero navigate the unknown. And of course, the Great Mother, nurturing and destructive at once. She is Mother Earth, the giver of life, but also the one who takes it back. In popular culture, she appears as figures like Galadriel in The Lord of the Rings, or even in darker forms, the terrifying, consuming mother in horror films. What makes archetypes so powerful is that they are not just out there in stories, they are inside us. When you feel the pull to rise above your limitations, that is the hero stirring within. When you seek guidance in your darkest hour, the sage awakens. These are not fantasies, they are inner realities. Archetypes are like an inner map. They show us pathways through life's challenges, and if we learn to recognize them, we gain access to deeper layers of our own psyche. Jung's insight was radical. We are not isolated individuals, but participants in an ancient drama that has been unfolding for millennia. At the heart of Jung's entire system lies one word: individuation. This is the central process of the psyche, the path toward becoming whole. But we must be careful. Individuation is not the same as personal growth in the modern sense. It's not about becoming better, more productive, or more successful. For Jung, individuation meant something deeper, meeting and integrating all parts of yourself. This includes the bright and the dark, the conscious and the unconscious, the persona, the shadow, the anima and animus, the archetypes. All these elements must find their place. Individuation is not about rejecting or destroying parts of the self, but about bringing them into balance. But here lies the paradox. This path always involves conflict. Individuation cannot happen if we live only on the surface, following social roles. It begins when the conscious mind encounters the unconscious, often in dreams, crises, or powerful emotional experiences. That encounter is rarely comfortable. It can feel like chaos, like losing your old identity. Jung compared it to alchemy, a process of transformation, where base metal is slowly turned into gold. In the same way, the psyche transforms when the opposites within us clash, and, through that clash, create something new. So individuation is not a straight path to harmony. It is a lifelong dialogue between order and chaos, between who we think we are and who we truly are. And in that tension lies the possibility of wholeness. At the peak of Jung's model stands the concept of the self, not the everyday ego, not the persona, not even the shadow or anima. The self is something much larger, the ultimate archetype, the center and totality of the psyche. It is both the destination of the inner journey and the hidden source that has guided us all along. Jung often described the self through symbols: the mandala, a radiant circle with a center, the light at the heart of a labyrinth, the image of a hero who has endured trials, and finally discovered their true essence. Across cultures and myths, we find this symbol, a pearl hidden in the depths, a treasure guarded by a dragon, a star that shines only after the darkest night. The self is not success, not status, not approval from others. It is not measured in achievements or external recognition. It is the authentic core of a human being, the union of all contradictions, the deepest sense of I am. To encounter it is to experience an inner revelation, an unshakable certainty that one has touched something eternal within. But here is the dramatic contrast. Most people never reach this encounter. They live within the narrow frames of their persona, avoiding the conflict with their shadow, never daring to step into the unknown. The journey to the self demands courage, patience, and the willingness to be transformed. And yet, for those who do take that path, there comes a moment of truth, a moment when chaos gives way to clarity, when fragments of the psyche suddenly fall into place, forming a whole. This is not the end of the path, but it is a peak, a vision of what human existence can be. The self is the inner center that calls us, whether we listen or not. Meeting it is the culmination of individuation, and perhaps the closest we come to the experience of transcendence. Jung's psychology is not just abstract theory. Its value lies in practice, in methods that help us actually approach the unconscious. Jung himself was not only a scholar, but also an explorer of the inner world, constantly experimenting on himself. He left us several keys. The first and most accessible practice is dream work. Jung considered dreams the direct voice of the unconscious. They are not meaningless fragments, but symbolic messages. By observing dreams and recording them, one gains a window into the deeper layers of the psyche. Even a single recurring image, a house, an animal, a road, can reveal important themes. Jung encouraged keeping a dream journal, rereading it over time, and asking, "What is my unconscious trying to tell me?" The second method is active imagination. Here, the person deliberately enters into dialogue with inner images. For example, one visualizes a figure from a dream and allows it to speak. Instead of suppressing or rationalizing, the task is to listen and record the dialogue. Jung practiced this daily and described the experience in his famous Red Book. Active imagination can feel strange, even uncomfortable, but it often leads to unexpected insights and reconciliations between conscious and unconscious. Another key is work with symbols. Jung believed that symbols are the universal language of the psyche. Myths, fairy tales, religious images, even personal drawings or mandalas, all contain archetypal patterns. By reflecting on a symbol that resonates personally, one can touch deeper truths. For Jung, creating mandalas was not art, but a form of self-healing, a way of expressing the inner order. And now, here is a key the viewer can immediately take. Start by observing your own dreams. Do not dismiss them as nonsense. Keep a notebook by your bed. Each morning, before checking your phone, write down at least a fragment of a dream. Over weeks, patterns will emerge, symbols, emotions, landscapes that repeat. This is the unconscious speaking in its own language. Through dreams, imagination, and symbols, we open a dialogue with what lies beyond the ego. These practices are not about escaping reality, but about becoming whole. Step by step, they bring us closer to that inner center Jung called the self. Why does Jung's path matter today? In the 21st century, we live in an era of technology, speed, and constant distraction. The external world demands efficiency, productivity, and quick results. Yet within, many feel emptiness, anxiety, or loss of meaning. Jung's psychology offers not escape, but depth, a way to reconnect with the inner world. The central idea is individuation, the process of becoming whole. In practice, this means discovering hidden sides of the personality, integrating them, and learning to live not only from the ego, but from the deeper self. For Jung, this was not luxury, but necessity. Without connection to the unconscious, the person remains fragmented, caught in one-sided views, driven by complexes they do not control. Jung's ideas also help us understand today's crises. The collective unconscious is not a museum, it manifests in new myths, in films, in collective fears and hopes. Archetypes reappear in modern culture: the hero, the shadow, the trickster, showing that humanity still speaks the same symbolic language. By recognizing these patterns, we gain freedom. Instead of being unconsciously ruled by them, we can enter into dialogue. Why now? Because modern life has split us. We know much about the external world, science, technology, data, but little about the inner cosmos. Jung reminds us that both worlds must be balanced. Individuation is not selfishness, but a contribution. The more whole a person becomes, the more authentically they participate in society. And here is the final thought. Jung did not give ready-made answers. He gave tools, dreams, imagination, symbols, and the courage to face oneself. The path is individual, unique for everyone, but the goal is the same: to find inner meaning, balance, and wholeness. Perhaps that is why Jung's psychology feels so modern. It addresses the deepest human need, to know oneself, and through that to become fully human.